I'll have to admit the standards might have been a little bit high. I offered these divinity students, or 300 divinity students, an opportunity for a mentoring experience. All they had to do was agree to 14 months of meetings that started at 7 a.m. to noon once a month on a Saturday morning. They had to agree to mentor 8 to 10 other people by the 4th month we were in our process. They had to agree to read 14 additional books, and these are all grad students, and pay the fees for those books. They had to agree to listen to a tape series that related to mentoring and leadership development. They had to agree to 2 retreats, a summer and a winter retreat with the cohorts of those that got accepted. They had to submit an application, they had to do an interview with me, and they had to do it by a certain timeline. Oh, and they had to agree to live internationally for at least 1 year, teaching a leadership development curriculum that I offered. Maybe the expectations were a little high. However, after a couple of years of offering this, the percentage of folks who were being touched by this mentoring group, I think we reached 22% of the campus in about 3 years' time. Well, somewhere in the middle year, I was at a divinity school luncheon, and a fellow was sitting across from me. I just set my chicken salad down, and he begins to say, "You're that professor with the mentoring thing, right?" And rehearsing all the reasons why why he didn't apply and why he shouldn't, and maybe I'm a little bit arrogant to expect these things of graduate students. It's pretty much a ruined lunch. And at the end of it, I said, "Hunter, I can appreciate that not everybody's going to apply for this sort of thing, and that I'm not looking for everyone. I'm kind of the few and the proud sort of guy. But what's this all about?" And he just said he had heard from so many other friends and how they were just investing so much time in this and leading these groups and all this sort of things, and kind of had an attitude assessment about the whole thing. And as lunch ended, I thought about that passage where the rich young ruler comes to Jesus and makes a case, asking Sunday school questions, and Jesus says, "Oh, right, you want to know the answer to eternal life? Give away all that you own. Follow me." And it said that rich young ruler walked away sadly. And then it says, and Jesus loved him. He didn't run after him. He watched him go. Now, between you and me, I like to pretend that the rich young ruler is Saul of Tarsus. I've got no reason for thinking that, but I wonder if there's a Jesus having affection for a guy who one day is going to get it. A year later, Hunter made an appointment with me. And he apologized for a conversation we had the first time we met. He said he was envious. He had a certain kind of disease that slowed him down throughout the day, and he didn't have the energy other people had. Another chapter in his life, certain kinds of traumas had come into him, made it difficult to trust. But he watched the commitment, I'd use the language of covenant, that I made and that I kept with his friends. And whereas he thought I was trying to enroll him, solicit him, hint, hint, this might be in the syllabus, sell something to him, make a joiner of him, affect some sort of transaction, he found that I was the one doing the work, the offer, and I was keeping my commitment, and I got no proceeds from it. Sometimes a Christian identity requires you to get serious about your participation in covenant and how it affects you in your formation. And I think we have to be careful of the seductions, the cultural scripts, the expectations, and the self-interest that allows us to enter into these transactional ways of being with one another, having them fill their names out on clipboards to be our volunteer for the hollow trunk or treat sort of experience, but with no interest in their lives, no interest in who they are, what their strengths are, what should be going on with them. Whenever I drive through the Richmond area, I give Hunter a phone call, say I'm coming through. And a few times we've actually been able to get together and have a drink. Our friendship has gone on at this point, it's about 15, 16 years now. We've got to reckon with the substance of what it means to be covenantal people, promise makers and promise keepers, that stay with things even when it gets hard or it's misunderstood, as opposed to those who take their money, take their pay, and go home. The transactional approach, the solicitation, the enrollment model. I look forward to hearing what your thoughts are about some of these things.